All right, guys, NFL opening night. We got, again, my Detroit Lions going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll talk some DFS and some player prop stuff. Still waiting on the big news here of the uncertainty right now. Here, let's bring it up, of Travis Kelce. My guess is that we do not see Kelce based on the reports, but still not 100%. Let's go to Underdog. Let's bring that up. We're seeing some Goff home road splits. Obviously, he struggled on the road last year. I don't put too much emphasis into stuff like that, but here is the latest report that we have on Kelce. The outlook isn't great. He's expected to push to play. Now, looking at, hyperextension and in the knee, usually it takes a week or two to get right. I still think he doesn't play. I think if you look across the industry, most people are projecting him out. That's what I'm doing at the moment as well. Now, the tricky part for this slate, for both DFS and player prop stuff, will be if he plays, right? If Travis Kelce plays, what do we do? Is he limited? Chance of re-injury? That would make it really tricky if Kelce does play. If Travis Kelce does not play, and we talked about this, I talked about this a lot on Patreon already, but Noah Gray instantly becomes a top value, right? Because he's going to operate as the tight end one. The Chiefs did call up Matt Bushman. I believe he is in the player pool. He is. He was on the practice squad. They elevated Bushman to the practice squad, which also kind of leads me to believe that Kelce won't play, right? That's just kind of what it's pointing towards. They have Blake Bell as well. So if Kelce does not play, there's still 3 tight ends. But again, Noah Gray would be that clear go-to guy. And he is a good pass catcher. I know we haven't really seen it a ton. We didn't even see a ton from him last year, but that's because when you're playing alongside a guy like Travis Kelce, it's hard to be super, super productive. But Gray was a good pass catcher in college. So he's definitely someone that I have my eye on here for sure. He will be pretty popular in my opinion. I think more popular right now than the projections say. Gray is definitely going to be a smash value there if there's no Kelce. Now let's talk about a few topics that I think the field's a bit overconfident on, and then we can kind of get to some questions, talk game theory, all that good stuff. We can talk some player prop stuff as well. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below. But let's kind of talk through a few points that I think the field's a bit overconfident in right now. So one is Gibbs, right? And I do like Gibbs, and I'm building some lineups here for the Middle Maker. I'm definitely going to have some Gibbs, but looking at ownership projections, I think the field's a little bit overconfident right now. And like I said, he's a rookie. All the reports are great on him. He's got Alvin Kamara comparison. So don't get me wrong, I still like Gibbs. I just think he's gonna be a bit overowned tonight. Based on everything I've seen across the industry, based on ownership projections, I think he'll be a little bit overowned. Doesn't mean you fade him. I just think that the field right now is a little bit overconfident in him. I think that Montgomery is definitely going to mix in. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like with Montgomery and with Gibbs. What happens if they're playing from ahead, right? Is it going to be more Montgomery? What happens if they're playing from behind? You would guess that would be more Gibbs, but again, there's uncertainty because we haven't seen this Lions backfield at all with Gibbs and Montgomery. Completely new backfield. So I think that's one portion that the field's a bit overconfident in right now is Gibbs. And you see it in the player prop stuff as well. I don't know if you guys are on Twitter. I think every single person I know is taking Gibbs over 3.5 receptions. Not saying it's a bad bet, but I think there's again, and that's, you can see the general public is extremely high on him, extremely high. So I think there's a little bit of overconfidence right now with Gibbs. And again, I'm still gonna have Gibbs in my lineup, but in some of my lineups. But I think he'll be a bit overowned. Second one is the Chiefs backfield. I think the industry in general is a bit overconfident right now that he's the clear number one. I'm not so sure. Right? He returned. He just got back from an injury. He was limited in his one preseason game that he played, and we know that Andy Reid is a troll. Right? I do not trust Andy Reid one bit. So while I think the most likely scenario here is that Pacheco is the lead guy, he's the guy that gets the most carries, the most, opportunities, I still think it's very much in the realm of possibilities that they somewhat take it easy on Pacheco and you see some more McKinnon. You maybe even see some CEH. So the field right now, and looking at ownership, again, Pacheco is going to be popular. I think there's a little bit of overconfidence in him as well. I'm not so sure he's just this bell cow back for the Chiefs. I think I think it's in the range of outcomes that Pacheco gets a lot of touches tonight. I think it's also in the range of outcomes that you see 3 running backs mix in, and maybe Pacheco only sees 8 to 10 touches. So I think there's a little bit of overconfidence there. And the third one, and you guys know this if you watch my video, is the Chiefs wide receivers, right? They're most likely going to have 7 active. We'll see on the active and inactive report, but they're most likely going to have 7 active. So the starters should be Tony, MVS, and Sky Moore. But I have no idea how this wide receiver rotation is going to work. There was reports that Watson was going to get a decent amount of snaps here with Tony most likely seeing limited snaps. But as I said with Andy Reid, with the running backs, I don't trust him one bit with the wide receivers. So I think some of these wide receivers, some of these cheaper guys, are good tournament plays, right? Guys like Richie James. I don't know what his role is going to be. I mean, he saw limited snaps in the preseason, but he was productive in the slot. I think it's possible he could have a good game. Rice is expensive, but I think he'll see some snaps. Ross, again, and then Watson we talked about. So I think there's some overconfidence as well in those top 3 Chiefs wide receivers. If they're just going to be the clear guys, they're going to play majority of the game. I'm not so sure about that. So those are 3 things that I think right now the field is a bit overconfident in that you can take advantage of when you're building your DFS lineups. And we talk about this all the time in my Patreon streams, but you want to focus, if you're playing, a content size like the Million Maker, you want to focus on being unique without being stupid. So try to build plus EV lineups. Make sure, you're not just playing all chalk and you're playing in the Million Maker. I'm sure if you guys know, that is a minus EV move. You want to make sure that you're trying to avoid as many dupes as you can without being too contrarian. So it's not like you want to, I just want to leave 20,000 on the table and go from there. No, you kind of want to, let's just say you're playing a lot of chalk. You can leave, a couple thousand on the table. I don't think you'll be not duped at all, but you're going to be a lot less duped if you leave 2,000 on the table as opposed to 300 on the table, right? So it's all about trying to build those lineups, but I think you very much can do on a site like this, especially if there's no Travis Kelce. It's very easy to play whoever you want. It is. So when you have a situation like that, what do the fish do? Right? What do the fish do when it's easy to build out a lineup? They're just going to use all their salary. They're going to jam the top guys in, and they're going to enter their lineups. Right? That's what the fish are going to do in large. So I think that's everything I wanted to talk about. Again, the Kelce news is big. I don't think we're going to get it for a little bit. We got about 2.5 hours until lock. So that's kind of everything I wanted to talk about for the showdown. Again, if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll try to get back to everyone here. And then player prop stuff as well. I'm kind of just waiting. I haven't taken anything yet, just because I need that Kelce news. I'm very curious to see what the line's going to be on Noah Gray. I think anything less than 8 fantasy points or so on Prize Picks, I'm definitely going to try to take his over. And then hopefully they do add a bit more to the board, because right now, again, there's still not a ton of Chiefs on the board because we're waiting for that Kelce news. So player prop stuff right now, again, I'm kind of waiting to see, waiting for that Kelsey news before I take anything on both prize picks and underdog. This is what I used for my Mahomes free square. I took Montgomery under his rushing plus receiving, and I paired that with Mahomes. If you guys haven't used Mahomes, that's what I used it for. But yeah, so let's get to some questions, guys. Anything, leave them in the chat. And yeah, I appreciate all you guys for watching. It's been a little bit since I've done a YouTube stream. We used to do it. You guys followed me since the beginning. I streamed every single day, starting in 2018. I did not miss a stream. So it's been a while since I've done YouTube streams. Going to try to do them more. Yeah, I'm excited for opening night. I am really, really excited for opening night. So let's get to some questions. What do we got here? Let's get it, man. Why is everyone on Gray? He isn't as good as Kelsey. I would think Bell or Watson would be better. Only 200. Well, Noah Gray, so he's actually a pretty good pass catcher. And I think his role is very secure. So who are the other two guys you mentioned there? If Kelsey's out, Bell or Watson? Okay, so Watson, obviously, there's going to be 7. There's going to be 7 wide receivers, most likely active for Kansas City. And the rotation is just unknown. And then Blake Bell, I think you can utilize him in large field tournaments, but Noah Gray is going to be a guy that's going to be out there. If there's no Kelsey, I expect him to be, 75, 80% of the snaps. The other tight ends, Bell and Bushman, a little bit more unclear. So I think his role is just very, very secure if there's no Kelsey. And that's why he's just going to project a lot better than those 2 other guys. What's up? Sorry, is Goff a solid captain option? So most of the field is going to play Goff in the flex, right? And Goff's going to be very popular. I'm guessing somewhere in the 60 to 70% range, assuming Kelsey does not play. Again, if Kelsey does not play, obviously a lot of these top-end guys are going to be extremely popular because there's a lot of value and it's just easy to get them. Jared Goff captain lineups, I think, are playable in large field tournaments. I think if I'm playing Goff captain, again, he's not very mobile, right? Goff is really not mobile at all. So if you're playing Goff captain, which I think you can, I think I want to pair him again with at least one of those Lions receivers, maybe 2. So he is playable in the captain. I don't think that's the direction that I'm going to go, but I don't think he'll be like a super popular play in the captain. Obviously, Mahomes going to get way more ownership. Okay, and we just got news. Kelsey's out. We just got that. Okay. So that's pretty big news, right? So we already talked about the implications there. Again, I would have been there was no need to rush him back. There really wasn't. Kelsey won't play. So Noah Gray stands out as a top value play. And then I do think you can utilize guys like Bell and Bushman in GPPs. Only in like the large field tournaments, but Kansas City will. I mean, you saw it last year. Like they like utilizing 2-3 tight ends near the goal line. I mean, we saw Fortson had a couple touchdowns last year. Like these kind of backup tight ends for Kansas City, I think are still playable, but I have a really hard time playing them over Gray, who I'm just way more confident in his role and is only a little bit more expensive. So Kelsey's out. We know that. Now, a lot easier to talk about. Now the wait is just for let's get more of those Chiefs player props on the board, right? Prize picks, underdog. That's what I'm waiting for now. I'm curious to see what we're going to see lines at for some of these other Chiefs, because they should be adding more guys. Which Chiefs wide receivers are the field overconfident? I think just the starters. So I think factoring in, you have Tony at 7K, MVS at 5.4, Sky Moore at 4.8. I think the guy that I'm the most likely to fade, their ownership is all pretty similar in those guys. I'm expecting somewhere in the mid-20s ownership for all those guys. Tony's the guy I think I'm the most likely to fade if I had to fade one, just because I'm not sure of what the workload's going to be for him. I don't think he's going to come out and all of a sudden get a majority of the snaps because he's been dealing with that knee injury. I mean, he's super injury prone, so I don't think they're going to push him early. And he's still projected for a fair amount of ownership. So, yeah, I mean, those 3, again, I think the field a bit overconfident in the starting receivers, and the other receivers are going to go pretty low owned. But if I'm going to fade one, I think it's Tony, because the price point and the fact that I don't think he's going to see full snaps there. Okay. I did not do no time for best ball. I did want to do one, but yeah, sadly was not able to. Yep, now it's go time, right? So now we kind of know what to do. Oh, also, again, if you guys do enjoy the stream, make sure to hit that like button. We got 20 likes. I think we're like 150 viewers. I don't know. Let's try to get to like 50 likes or so. Would appreciate it. So now, again, when you're building out roster construction, right? And again, it's relatively easy to build out a lineup. Let's say you want to play Mahomes and the top two guys for Detroit. You throw Noah Gray in there, right? It's still got 5K remaining, so it's gonna be a slate where you really just want to focus on how can you build those plus EV lineups if you're playing large field tournaments. Who's your favorite top two captain kickers in the flex? Kickers are both in play in the flex for sure. Game is projected to be high scoring. I think Buckner will get more ownership than Patterson, but I think that Patterson probably would be the guy that I would play if I was going to play one kicker in tournaments. That's because I would guess that if the field's going to play a kicker, they're going to go to Buckner. And I think it'll probably be double the ownership or so of Patterson. And I think they're basically the same play. So kicker's definitely in play. If I'm going to play one, though, in tournaments, it would be Patterson for that reason. And top two captains. So cash games, very clearly, it's Mahomes. The only player you should be playing in cash games captain is Mahomes. For tournaments, single entry stuff, just in general in tournaments, I think Amon-Ra St. Brown and Noah Gray would be my favorite captains. But if you're going the largest field tournaments, like this Midland Maker, I think mixing in those backup Chiefs wide receivers is not taking a little shot, on one or two of those guys in the captain. I don't think is the worst idea. But I think my favorite overall captains in tournaments, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Noah Gray. Cash games, Mahomes is the only player you should be playing in cash games in the captain. Goff, 260 yards, Mahomes rushing yards, Pacheco, MVS. I think the Goff projection's about right. Same with Mahomes. So I didn't love either. I do think that if you're going for that shootout build, then sure, right? If you're going, so you want to get some correlation. If you're going like Goff over yards, then I'm definitely trying to pair it with, I don't know, probably St. Brown or Laporte. I'm going to throw in a couple of those Lions receivers and take the overs as well. Is Richie James and Tony playing the slot? Yeah, so Tony will kind of play all over the place. I think Sky Moore will play a bit in the slot. I mean, it's a little bit unclear of what the Chiefs exactly are going to do. I think guys that can play in the slot, Tony, Sky Moore. I think Richie James, obviously he played the slot for the Giants last year. Rice is a guy that can play the slot too. So there's a lot of guys that can play the slot. MVS blows. Yeah, I mean, MVS is just your classic boomer bust. He's not a guy, he has a very low floor, but he does have this ceiling. He's the deep threat. So he's never really a guy that I take player prop wise, just because he had one long catch and he's over. But I don't like hurting guys like that unless the projection is just way off for player props. But if for DFS, I mean, MVS is fine. He's big play upside. I would say more often than not he's gonna let you down, but still a guy that you can get to NBA regular season. Isn't this crazy? So we're still finishing up FIBA. We got a few more days of the FIBA World Cup. So we've had basketball in our life for a while. Summer League, FIBA World Cup. NFL or NBA preseason is less than a month away. October 5th. So we don't have to wait too long for basketball. Such a great option. I think he's going to be around 75 to 80%. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be that high. If you look at projections across the industry, it's actually not that much. And I really disagree with it. I think he's going to be somewhere in the 50% range, if I had to guess. Favorite cash game wide receiver from Kansas City? Sky Moore. If I had to play one Kansas City receiver in cash, it would be Sky Moore. And there's a reason for that, right? You got Tony, who I think will be limited. You got MVS's boomer bust. I'm not touching cash. Sky Moore, second year guy, expected to be a starter, reasonable price point. he would be the guy I would play in cash if I had to pick one. I don't love playing a Kansas City receiver in cash games, to be honest. But if I had to pick one, I think it's Sky Moore. Mahomes easy fade, who we throwing to. Tough individual match for St. Brown against Snead. Yeah, I don't look into individual matchups too much. Chiefs D sucks. Should I do that trade? Montgomery and Dobbins versus Walker and Kamara. Is that which Walker? Okay. So what do we think? Probably like an hour or so until we start getting some of these other Chiefs props on the board, I would guess. Maybe it's quicker. But I don't think we're going to get it up in time for us to really see what we got here. All right, what else we got? And hey, we're at like almost 200 live viewers right now, so that's wild. I haven't been live in a long time. Thank you guys. Almost at 50 likes too. Let's see. Favorite GPP captain. So I think St. Brown and Gray. Outside of those guys, I think mixing in those backup Chiefs wide receivers in large field tournaments is not a bad idea. But yeah, St. Brown and Gray. If I had to pick a third guy at the top, it probably would be Gibbs. But I do think he's going to be a bit overowned. We talked about that. Best ball on DraftKings starts tonight. Yeah, because the first game's tonight. So best ball starts tonight. Rice or a kicker. I mean, definitely a kicker is way safer, right? Rice, the price point is going to make it is going to make it tough to get to. I would say he's probably going to be the lowest owned Chiefs wide receiver because of the price point and the fact that he's a backup. And if you look at the other Chiefs back wide receivers, they're way cheaper, so a little bit less risk, right? James, 2,000, Ross, 1,000, Watson is 200. So yeah, I mean, Rice is a guy that I still think you can play in large field tournaments, but it's an ownership play if you go there. I mean, the kicker most likely going to give you somewhere in the neighborhood of like 5 to 10 fantasy points, right? I think that's relatively fair range of outcomes for the kickers tonight, somewhere in that range. For Rice, I mean, we don't know what the workload is going to be. He does have a higher ceiling. Like, you never know if they do limit some of these guys and they really do run a pretty even rotation. But yeah, I mean, Rice can catch a long touchdown, but kickers are way safer. I guess it depends on the rest of your build. Like if you're playing all chalk, then yeah, maybe I'm more willing to go to Rice as the last guy, but the kickers are much safer. Sky Moore, Riley, Patterson, cash games. I think it's Sky Moore for me. Yeah. It's been a minute, I know. Any thoughts on prize picks now that Kelsey's out? I don't think we're going to have... we don't have any Gray props up, right? Yeah, it's going to take a little bit for some of these other Chiefs to get up here, so... again, I think I would say no Gray. Anything less than like 8 fantasy score, I'm definitely looking to take over. And then I'm curious to see if they add some of these other wide receivers. I know we have what? MVS, Sky Moore, and is that it? Yeah, that's it. So I would guess we'd probably get a few more of these Chiefs added to the board. Again, a guy like MVS, if you put a gun to my head and had to pick, I would say the under, but it's just a guy that I never love taking his player props because it's just so boom or bust. Sky Moore, 45.5. I don't love taking Chiefs player props tonight because I just don't know what the rotation is going to look like. It makes it great for DFS for tournaments, but when taking player props, I don't know what Andy Reid's going to do with these wide receivers. So that's why I'm looking. I'm way more confident in a guy like Gray. Montu at the goal line work. Yeah, I think Dave Montgomery is the most likely candidate for the short yardage. So Right now, the ownership isn't crazy crazy different with Gibbs and Montgomery. I will say it might end up being double Gibbs Montgomery. That's not what the projections are saying, but I just think the field is going to be way more excited to play Gibbs than Montgomery. But Montgomery's a fine pivot. If the Lions do play from ahead, I think it's better for Montgomery. So I know the spread is saying that they're going to be playing from behind, but it's possible. I mean, hey, again, you got no Kelsey. So I think there's a decent chance the Lions could be playing from behind in this game. So yeah, Montgomery, it'll be interesting to see exactly what the ownership is. Projections wise, right now, it's like Gibbs is like 10 to 15% more. I think it could end up being like double. So Montgomery, I think, is a fine play. Like I said, there's uncertainty, right? There just is uncertainty with how the Lions are going to use these backs. We talked about that's how we open up the stream, right? The uncertainty of the Lions backfield. I think the uncertainty of the Chiefs backfield. What is the field assuming? The field's very confident. Gibbs is the guy. Everyone's taking overs on him. Everyone's playing him in DFS. What's the field doing with Pacheco? Everyone's taking his overs and prize picks. Everyone's playing him in DFS. I'm not so sure about either, right? I think that the most likely scenario is Gibbs is the RB1 for Detroit and Pacheco is the RB1 for the Chiefs. But I think the range of outcomes, there's a lot of different ways it can go, and we already talked about the Chiefs wide receivers. Do you like Gibbs over rushing yards? What's his rushing yards at? 36.5. Honestly, no. I don't like taking Chiefs wide receivers or the Lions backs tonight and player pop stuff because I am unsure of exactly how this is going to go. I think the one that I like the best, if I'm going to take a running back prop tonight, I think it would be that Montgomery under on rushing receiving. It's 66.5 on prize picks. It was 69.5 on underdog. But I think that one would probably be my favorite one. I also, I guess, don't hate the under on Pacheco rushing plus receiving. So if I'm going to take props, which I'm not sure if I'm going to take any of these running back props. So if I was, I think I lean the under on Pacheco and Montgomery. Hey, there's a lot of hype for the Lions. And I'm just going to say I have been let down by the Lions every year of my life. Right, so I'm still not getting my hopes up here. I got to see it to believe it. So I still think the Chiefs win this game. I think there's a little bit too much hype with the Lions, to be honest. I'm not as confident as some other people in just their outcome this season. But hey, I'm still rooting for them. I'm still rooting for the Lions to win. I'm not getting my hopes up because it's every year they let me down every year. All right, guys, any other questions? We've been live for about 30 minutes. Again, we hit about 200 concurrent viewers, so pretty crazy. Happy to answer any last minute questions. Other than that, I'm going to get out of here and start entering some lineups. I think I might play some cash games tonight now with that Kelsey news, and I have a pretty good idea of how I want to build out my GBP lineup. So I'm going to throw some darts in the Middle Maker for sure. Usually I'm one lineup guy. I'm going to throw some darts in the Middle Maker. Why not? Listen to people, they sound the Lions. Yeah, right. That's what I said. Like, there's just, I think there's a little bit too much confidence in Detroit. Gibbs or Montgomery for cash? Gibbs. Gibbs because PPR, DraftKings full point PPR. I expect him to be much more involved in the passing game than Montgomery. So yeah, Gibbs over Montgomery for cash. Chiefs defense getting better from last year. I mean, they don't have what's his name? Jones, right? Or what's the defensive ends? I'm blanking on it. But their top defensive end is out. So defense not expected to be great, and that's kind of what shows in the total. Super high total. Lions winning the Super Bowl. Yeah, Chris Jones, yeah. So again, he is I had a stat up here, but like the Chiefs were like number one in I forget what it was, in like pressuring the quarterback when he was out there, and they're almost dead last when he's not out there. So and to be honest, like Goff, he struggles on the road, but he only threw 7 picks last year. So he was relatively secure with the ball. Also, if you guys are not on Parlay Play, I'll have a link down below. But you can use the code DKDFS for a 100% or $100 deposit match. I tweeted out my Mahomes free square if you guys are interested in that. I'll be posting a lot more. And if you guys do sign up and you use that link, use my code, I'll give you a free month of my Patreon player prop package. So if you guys are interested in that, link is down below. And yeah, anything else? Who's your favorite dart throw for GPPs? Laporta, 2Q as a captain. Okay, so let's answer a few. Hayden Hooker. So we're playing Noah. I think Noah is a great option. Yes, I like Noah Gray a lot. Is Laporta too cute? I like Laporta. We didn't talk about him a ton, but he's probably the Lions pass catcher outside of St. Brown that I'm the next most confident in. Good pass catcher out of Iowa, and is the clear tight end 1. So I do like Laporta. I think he's a fine captain play. I have no issue with that. No issue with that. And who's your favorite dart throw for GPPs? It's going to be one of the Chiefs' backup wide receivers. I'll say Richie James, but there's a lot of ways this could go. Like Richie James could only be used in special teams. He doesn't see a lot of snaps, but yeah, I think of the secondary Chiefs wide receivers, he would be the guy at low ownership. Yeah, so underdog. I'm going to wait for some more props to be put out. Again, I took the under on Montgomery, 69.5 rushing plus receiving. I also like Laporta over. I don't know where it's at right now. And then curious if they've added anything else here. Okay, yeah, so Montgomery is now 70.5 rushing plus receiving. I like the under on that. If you compare that versus Prize Picks, it's 66.5, right? So you should definitely, if you're taking the Montgomery under, you should take it on underdog. Laporta, 5.85. It's fine. I mean, it's basically, again, it's half a point PPR and underdog, full point PPR and Prize Picks. So those projections are basically the same. Still lean the over there. And then for the Chiefs, well, Pacheco's at 66.5 here, 63.5. So again, would lean, if you're going to take the under on the rushing plus receiving, I would do it on underdog. Wow, 50.5 for McKinnon. So everything seems to be a little bit higher in underdog than it is Prize Picks right now. Why did they give Justin Watson a rushing prop? Interesting, Blake Bell. Yeah, so right now I'm just waiting for, I need Noah Gray props. Give me the Noah Gray props, but we have nothing else right now. Sorry if you guys can hear my fridge is like making noise, so need someone to look at that. Okay, what else we got? Marvin Jones Jr. I think the only reason you play him for DFS is ownership. He's at a tough price point for me. I have a really hard time playing him. Playing both quarterbacks right now, yes. What's your thoughts on Reynolds and Cleve Raymond? Both are solid values. Both will get ownership. No issue with either. I think Rich James call, brilliant DK. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just an ownership play. I don't know what the Chiefs wide receiver rotation is the biggest question mark. Richie James, in the limited snaps that he played in the preseason, he played well. So yeah, I think he's interesting. Kelsey's out, so they're going to go run heavy. I think they're still going to air it out. Can't go run heavy, need points. Rich, I wouldn't be surprised. No Gray, 3.5 receptions. Okay, so starting to add some Gray props. Is that right? Or is that just on the sports books? Well, we'll see. All right, guys, I'm going to end it there. So really appreciate you guys for watching. Again, we hit about 200 concurrent viewers, 60 likes. So yeah, let's hope for a good opening night. Hopefully one of you guys in here can take down the Mill Maker if you guys are playing it. We'll definitely try to do more live streams in the future. So enjoy, have a great night, and we'll see you guys all in the next one.